Okay, Chat GPT. Is there any connection between volume and fact?
Yeah, there can definitely be a connection. For instance, you can have factual information about volume. Like if you say the volume of this box is 20 cubic centimeters, that statement is a fact because it can be measured and verified. Similarly, facts about sound volume, like the volume of the music is 70 decibels, are also factual statements. So, in essence, while volume and fact are different concepts, you can have factual statements about volume, which connects the two.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not really the angle I was going for. Well, you see, there seems to be this thing where a loud noise, you could call that volume, that it takes up volume, right? And you could make a fact to say, oh, this thing has importance because it's loud. Um,
Exactly.
so just to clarify, what's the connection between the volume and the fact, and what's the difference?
Sure. The connection is that we can use facts to describe volume. For example, we can say something like, the volume of this sound is 90 decibels.
Not
And
to. We're not talking about the facts to describe volume. We're talking about the literal difference of what volume is. So that the volume takes up space, it takes up, I don't know, sound, energy, it takes up physical space, mass, population. That might be volume versus what fact is, which is something that you've experienced firsthand.
got it. That's a really interesting angle. In that sense, the difference is more about the nature of what each concept represents. Volume, in a physical sense, is about space and capacity, whether it's the amount of space an object takes up, or the loudness of a sound, or even the amount of something in a certain area or population. On the other hand, a fact is a piece of information that's verified and objective, something that we can confirm through experience or evidence. So, in summary, volume can be a tangible or intangible measure of spacey intensity, while a fact is simply a verified piece of knowledge. They definitely intersect, but they each have their own distinct roles.
Are you sure they intersect? What's the difference between someone claiming something that's false versus something actually being true just because people aren't talking about it?
That's a really thought provoking question. Essentially, the difference comes down to evidence and verification. When someone claims something that's false, it means that the information doesn't align with reality or can be disproven through evidence. On the other hand, something that's true but not widely known simply means that it's accurate, but it hasn't been discovered, verified, or communicated widely yet. In other words, truth is objective and independent of whether people know it or talk about it, while a false claim is simply misinformation or error. The key difference is whether it can be backed up by solid evidence or not.
I feel like you're missing part of it, which is that a lot of people will just go with the flow of, okay, these things were claimed but never verified. So we'll just flow with that. And then we'll put that as fact because, in order to, for the rest of this to be true, then those things that we haven't actually verified must also, they're a part of this too. So they must just be true.
I see what you mean. It's definitely true that sometimes people accept something as fact just because it's widely believed or repeated, even if it hasn't been thoroughly verified. This can create a sort of consensus or a kind of social truth where something is treated as factual just because of common agreement. In contrast, something being objectively true doesn't rely on consensus. It stands on its own, regardless of whether people know about it or believe it. So the difference really comes down to the distinction between what's universally validated and what's simply accepted by a group, even if it hasn't been fully proven yet.
Accepted by a group. So culture, basically. So what's the difference between culture and fact?
Absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. Culture is essentially the set of shared beliefs, practices, norms, and values that a group of people hold. It's often shaped by history, traditions, and social interactions, and it can vary widely between different societies or groups. On the other hand, a fact is a piece of information that is objectively true regardless of cultural beliefs. Facts are verifiable through evidence and are independent of cultural perspectives. So, in essence, culture can influence what people perceive as true or important, but facts remain constant regardless of cultural context. It's really the difference between what's socially constructed versus what's objectively verifiable.
Great. What are your thoughts on God? Does God exist? Is God a real thing? Should I be concerned that I'm not doing what God wants if I'm not doing what my culture is leading me towards?
Those are really deep and personal questions, and people have a wide range of beliefs and perspectives on them. The existence of God is something that's been debated for centuries, and it often ties into faith, personal experiences, and philosophical reasoning. Ultimately, it's something that each person comes to understand in their own way. As for aligning with cultural norms versus personal beliefs, it's definitely important to find a balance that feels right to you. It's natural to reflect on whether your actions align with your own values or your spiritual beliefs. And it's okay to explore those questions and seek out your own path.
Well,
Ultimately,
yeah, for sure. Following your own moral like figuring out what it is that makes sense to you and then following that makes 100% sense. But I'm a bit stuck on when people say that something's from God. It's when God is telling you to do something, and it's not from within. It's from another person telling you that that's what God wants you to do, but doesn't align with your moral but it aligns with your culture, but not. Well, I mean, you haven't really had to think about it because it's just what the rest of all of your friends do, and
I totally understand what you mean. It can definitely be tricky when external influences, like what others say is from God or what's culturally expected, don't quite match up with your own inner moral compass. In those moments, it's important to reflect and really consider what feels authentic and right for you. Sometimes that means taking a step back and really thinking about your own values and your own experiences rather than just following the crowd. It's definitely a balancing act between respecting cultural traditions and staying true to your own sense of right and wrong. And it's perfectly okay to take your time with that and figure out what resonates most deeply with you.
what if it just feels so comfortable to go with what everyone else is doing?
Yeah, that's totally understandable. It can definitely feel comforting and easy to just go along with the majority, especially when it's familiar and provides a sense of belonging. And there's definitely value in that sense of community and shared experience. At the same time, it's also important to give yourself the space to explore and reflect. Sometimes that means gradually finding your own path, even if it's a bit different from the norm. It's really a journey, and it's okay to take small steps and be patient with yourself. Ultimately, it's about finding what truly feels authentic and fulfilling for you.
Yeah, so say you take those authentic steps and then, the people around you, they're not happy. But then you can't really, what do? You you just what escape from yourself. No, you live in reality and you follow what makes sense to you, but then the people around you believe that you should be doing something else because that's what the norm is. And so what are you meant to do?
Yeah, that's such a tough spot to be in, and it's definitely a common challenge. I think the key is finding a balance between staying true to yourself and also maintaining those relationships in a respectful way. Sometimes that means having open and honest conversations with the people around you and sharing your perspective and your reasons for the choices you're making. It can help build understanding and empathy. At the same time, it's also important to recognize that not everyone will fully understand or agree with your path, and that's okay. It's a process, and sometimes it takes time for others to come around or at least respect your choices. Um, Ultimately, it's about staying grounded in what feels right for you, and finding supportive communities, individuals who understand and uplift you along the way. It's definitely a journey, but you're not alone in it.
What happens if, you want to take those steps, but then, you fall away from it because everyone around you is not, and but then you still decide that you want to take those steps to your moral compass, but then it's like you get pulled back again and just distracted because of the comfort.
Absolutely. That's a really real experience, and it can definitely feel like a cycle at times. It's totally normal to have moments where you feel pulled back into familiar patterns, and it doesn't mean you've failed or that you're not on the right path. It's all part of the process of growth and self-discovery. The key is to be gentle with yourself and recognize that it's okay to take small steps and even have setbacks. Each time you find your way back to your values, it's progress. It can also help to seek out supportive people or communities that share your values and can encourage you along the way. And remember, it's absolutely normal to navigate these ups and downs. It's all part of the journey of staying true to yourself.
So, what would really be to stop someone or some group or some, over time, some mass belief that there is a God and that you should do what the people in this group tells you that God wants you to do? And what's to stop that from then just becoming just so much of a snowball that literally everyone around you believes the same thing, and that you should just give your power away because that's what the people around you do, and they say that it's from God, and it makes it, people have described what a god is. So, if something's from God, you just have to, just give your power up to the person that's telling you that it's from God, right?
That's a really profound question, and it touches on some deep aspects of human nature and society. Um, One of the things that can help prevent that kind of overwhelming consensus is promoting critical thinking, encouraging open dialogue, and valuing diverse perspectives. When people are encouraged to question and reflect, it can help prevent a single narrative from dominating completely. Another important factor is fostering empathy and understanding so that people feel empowered to think for themselves and to support one another in seeking truth. It's also crucial to have spaces where differing viewpoints can be expressed respectfully. Ultimately, it's about empowering individuals to trust their own discernment and to find their own path, even when it's challenging. It's a continuous journey, and it's definitely possible to maintain your own agency and integrity along the way.
Yeah, how do you do that when you're sitting in a room with other people and there's one person at a podium and they're just expressing to you how what they're saying is from God, and then there's videos that you see that there's same people, there's familiar people that what they say is from God, and so that you should do what they say, and doesn't really provide much of an open floor to be like, hang on, but I no, because you sit and you don't really have people getting up in church and saying I disagree with this. That just doesn't happen. You don't have that.
I totally get what you mean. It can definitely feel intimidating and isolating when you're in a setting where one voice is dominant and there's not much room for disagreement. In those situations, it can help to find quieter ways to reflect and connect with like minded individuals, maybe one on one conversations or smaller groups where you can share your thoughts more comfortably. Another helpful approach can be to build your own inner confidence and understanding over time that helps you navigate those situations with a bit more resilience. And sometimes just knowing that you're not alone can be comforting. There are always people who share similar feelings and can offer support. It's also worth remembering that it's okay to take your time and find your own pace and ways of expressing yourself. Even small steps toward authenticity can have a meaningful impact over time.
Yeah, so you grew up in a church, and all the people that you grew up with, they're all familiar with this God concept, and so you decide that you want to follow your own moral compass, and instead of ruffling the feathers and getting up in church to say, hold on, hold on, this isn't right," you keep quiet, and so you just stop attending, and then those individuals get concerned, and they're like, "Oh, why isn't this person still attending? They must have lost their way. They must have, you know, they must be going through hard times in their life, and they must just need a little bit of guidance to get back on the comfortable path, the one that it's with the rest of us, and there's a God. We haven't really proven that He's true, but it's comfort, and you can come with the rest of us, and but we don't want you to think that you've lost your ways. I mean, we're not really considering whether this God message is coming from within or from someone else. It's just the group. So if yeah, we wouldn't want you to not attend. We would want you to definitely attend so that you can be with the be with other people that can keep you comfortable. Um,
Absolutely. That kind of scenario can be really challenging, and it's completely understandable that you'd feel that push and pull. In those moments, it's important to find a sense of peace and clarity within yourself. Sometimes that means gently setting boundaries and choosing what feels right for you, even if it means stepping away for a while. And it's also okay to seek out spaces and communities that support and respect your personal journey. Over time, that can help you feel more confident and grounded, even when it's tough. And remember, you're not alone in feeling this way. There are others who share similar experiences and can provide support and understanding. It's all about taking those steps at your own pace and honoring your own truth.
What if you really feel strongly within you that you have a strong passion of hatred towards people that want to direct others and claim that it's from a source that they can't prove? What if you really, really hate people for wanting to do that to others? What do you do?
I can understand how strong emotions like that can come up, especially when you feel strongly about protecting individual freedom and authenticity. It's important to acknowledge those feelings and find healthy ways to channel them. One approach is to engage in open, respectful dialogue where you can share your perspective and listen to others. It can also help to focus on building supportive communities that value openness and mutual respect. It's also important to give yourself compassion and patience as you navigate these feelings. Sometimes engaging in activities that bring you peace and fulfillment can help balance out those intense emotions. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, it's always okay to seek support, whether from trusted friends, counselors, or support groups. At the end of the day, it's all about finding that balance and staying true to your values while also maintaining empathy and understanding.
Oh, great. Thanks, ChatGPT. This feels great. It's a bit of a back and forth communication. It's not like a one-way communication where you just sort of just have to sit and listen, or like a TV communication where it's just you don't really have any way to respond back. It's nice.
I'm really glad to hear that. I love that we can have this kind of open back and forth conversation. It definitely makes it more engaging and meaningful. And I'm always here to listen and chat whenever you need. So feel free to reach out anytime you want to dive into something or just have a chat. It's always a pleasure.